Hello, everyone. Today I'll be talking about delays to the cruise industry. If you're new to my channel, essentially what this channel is really about is delivering financial news to you in a timely manner. So if you want to subscribe to more videos, feel free to hit this subscribe button down here. As well, please like the video and share with your friends as well. So with that said, let's jump straight into the video. So year to date, when we actually look at the performance, you can actually see how the cruise line in the industry have actually suffered quite a bit. If you look at your top three large players, this is your Carnival, your Royal Caribbean, as well as your Norwegian Cruise Line here. So these three companies are actually down about 50% right now. So even Norwegian is actually down like 60%. And when you compare this to the S&P 500, it's only down about 3%. So significant amount of underperformance right here. And a lot of it is really just investors being fearful about whether or not a second wave of the virus will occur. We have gyms, restaurants, hotels, and casinos already slowly reopening. Not yet at 100% capacity, but, 20, 50% capacity so far. Like the next wave of what we're looking at right now is really for large gatherings, such as people attending concerts, sport games, and cruise lines. These are in the later phase that we're also going to be waiting for. So that's like the main reason for this significant underperformance right here. Now, if I move to the next part here, you can definitely see how earlier today on June 16th, Norwegian Cruise Line, they announced after hours, essentially how they're going to be pushing back sailing until at least the beginning of October. And their share price is actually down about 12% right now. And the reason why this is important is because there's absolutely implications for Carnival and also for Royal Caribbean. So currently only Norwegian Cruise Line has announced that they're suspending sailing until October. But Carnival previously, they announced that they plan to open on August 1st. So, it'd be interesting to see how Carnival as well as Royal Caribbean actually respond to this news. The reason why it's significant is because these cruise lines, as you can see here, they burn a ton of cash. Carnival Cruise Line burns almost $1 billion annually. This is actually monthly. When travel is being halted, Norwegian here burns about $150 million per month if they're not sailing. So a lot of these companies can only probably survive about, a couple of several months, maybe like 10 months or so, if there's a no sail order. As at the end of Q1, Norwegian only had about $1.4 billion of cash. So you can definitely do the math and see that they can't survive for all that long. Here's an example here where I want to just show you like a comparison where it really shows how Carnival, in terms of like their net profit for 2019, they did bring in about $3 billion. And the good thing is that these cruise line companies, they are profitable. In this industry, it's actually pretty competitive. There's a very high barrier of entry because it costs just a lot of money to even begin the business. It's very hard to see like another big cruise line companies coming in. So that's like the competitive advantage that these companies have, but they do burn a ton of cash, as well as taking on a good amount of debt, as well as you can see down here, the debt to equity ratio is actually very high for Royal Caribbean as well as Norwegian. Now, here's the thing about these companies is that I found this pretty surprising how, like for example, in Carnival, in 2019, they only had about $500 million of cash on hand. So as you recall, they burn about $900 million per month. So these companies, they just need more cash. They're extremely tight on cash. They're burning through a lot of it, and they just don't have a lot to begin with. So this kind of leads the Carnival CEO earlier this year just talking about how he believes the company has enough money to make it through the rest of 2020 without bringing in any additional revenue. This is the Carnival CEO, Arnold Donald. He's been with the company since like 2013, and he essentially, the reason why he said this is because he actually was able to raise over $6 billion in debt as well as equity earlier this year. So here, as you can see here, I made this quick table here, just showing you what exactly did Carnival do to survive. So they in terms of $4 billion, they got this from senior secured notes, but it did not come cheap. Almost 12% in annual interest payments on this. And what essentially this means is that senior secured notes, these have the first priority lien status. So essentially, the bondholders will be actually at the top of the capital structure in case if Carnival ever went bankrupt. And essentially, Carnival had to actually have to pledge their vessels as collateral for this. As well, they raised, as you can see here, they actually issued about $500 million in common stock. Their share price was at $8, which was actually at the lowest point at the bottom of the end of March. But that's not all bad news for the industry. I mean, I know you can see here that Carnival, about 55% of the customer actually wanted a cash refund. So that's about like Carnival having to pay back like $2.5 billion in cash refund because of like canceled trip. But the good thing is that about 45% of customers actually want the cruise line credit, which they can actually apply for future cruises. So it definitely does show you that there is demand here. And on top of that, there was a interesting article from a travel representative where they recently saw how Carnival bookings actually soared by 600% for the August trips once Carnival made the announcement that they do plan to sail in August 1st. So that's always good news because it shows that there's actually pent-up demand. So overall, I think investors are a little bit scarred from like all the negative publicity in like the earlier days, having maybe like over 1,500 positive cases on these ships initially. But ultimately, what the cruise line industry is doing here, as we've seen with Norwegian Cruise Line announcing earlier today, is that they just want to make sure they can abide by the CDC protocol to allow passengers to safely travel to minimize the coronavirus risk to the greatest extent possible. But in the meantime, by delaying sailing, they're actually burning through a lot of cash, hurting their balance sheet even more, and possibly raising even more concern of issuing more debt down the line. So that's pretty much the end of this video. If you made it this far, please feel free to subscribe as well as like the video. I really do appreciate your time. Feel free to drop a comment down below and I'll be glad to respond back. Thank you again for your time. Until next time, thank you everyone. Bye.